Good evening and welcome to our 9 p.m. edition of the English News Edition. The headlines. Djibouti celebrates the World Youth Day by the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports and the IOM. In all the international news, more than 60 children died in a hospital in Uttar Pradesh. Those are top stories, and thanks for joining us. The City of Medina takes a definitive end to the pilgrimage of the quota first flight this Saturday, 12 August 2017, in the holy city of Light of Medina. The pilgrims of the first flight visited yesterday the historic sites that have contributed meaningfully to the radiation of the Muslim religion in the world. These are, among others, the Mount Uhud in Rauda, mosques Qiblatan, Quba, and the cemetery of the 78 martyrs fell during the Battle of Uhud, which was among the victims the uncle of the Prophet, may peace and blessings be upon him, Hamza. According to the religious, all these places visited allow pilgrims to strengthen their spirituality and their faith on the one hand, and on the other hand make known efforts also endured by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions for promotion of Islam, the religion of peace. The pilgrims of Djibouti have thus made these cities in the best conditions rights, accompanied by the members of the committee of the pilgrimage, also including a health group composed of doctors and nurses. To note that the second flight of the Djiboutian pilgrim arrived yesterday evening towards 7 p.m. to Medina. In our major stories, Young People Build Peace is under this slogan that this year the International Youth Day was celebrated. A day that celebrates the crucial role that youth play in the prevention of conflicts as agents of change, as well as their contribution to the promotion of inclusive societies, social justice and sustainable development, as well as in the sense that the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, in collaboration with the International Organization for Migration, IOM, has organized yesterday afternoon in the community center of Neighborhood 2 a ceremony of such awareness is their way to build peace, with absolute certainty that every gesture, every word account for a well-anchored solidarity, fraternity, freedom in the running of the world. As a reminder, it is in 1991 that the youth gathered in Vienna in Austria for the first World Youth Forum organized by the United Nations system, and have proposed to establish an International Day of the Youth. It is in this sense that the 12th August of each year is celebrated the International Youth Day. The Djiboutian army recruits young people for various trades in different levels of executive. This information has been brought to us from the forces of the army. It is the military rank and under officers, the National Marine, Health Service, English-speaking lawyers. Folders needed are a copy of the National Identity Card, application of the person in concern, certificate of single, certificate of a copy of diploma, certified copy of the diploma, and 4 photos. And for deposit of the deposit of the open folder from 15 to 30 August 2017, every morning from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the southern entrance of the camp Sheikh Osman. The selected candidates will be convened by a notice of press or to display, and finally the details of each of the above profiles are to follow on the radio in all languages. The UNIF Day has organized, in collaboration with the ONEAD, a workshop of community awareness in the framework of the project of sanitation liquid of Djibouti City in Balbala last week in the enclosure of the community center of Neighborhood 7. The purpose of the workshop was to resolve the situation of emergencies in environmental and related to the water use situation which overflows in the neighborhoods, and leave a lasting solution consisting in the transfers to the station of cleansing Duda. This initiative of the UNIF in collaboration with ONEAT will help to improve on a regular basis and sustainable development of basic conditions of hygiene, of food safety and accessibility for the inhabitants of neighborhood 7, including as well the neighborhood 7. And this workshop has seen the presence of the president of the commune of Bel'aus, as well as the chief project of the UNIF, Mrs. Ruqya Aden, and the responsible for the ONEAT. In the region, the rainy season has made its appearance on any day in altitude. Yesterday evening, it is fact state of torrential rains yesterday as well in Rwanda in the region of Tijora. The flooding of the wadis that across the city has spilled on the city, and a dozen houses have been damaged. Food and materials have been as well washed away by the waters of the wadi in flood, and the population still fears water floods. Indeed, it is the first time that the wadis which cross Rwanda has spilled on the homes, so we do not regret, and there is no victims, humans as well as, but there is a fear, they said. The prefect of Tijora, Abdul Malik Muhammad Boneta, went this morning to Rwanda to observe the situation. He was welcomed by the sub-prefect Aden, the leader of the village, and the authorities and customary chiefs of Rwanda. They request the solutions be found for secure Rwanda. The president of the Football Federation of Djibouti, Suleiman Hassan Waberi, has participated yesterday in the Football Federation of Tanzania, as well as much as the head of the delegation of the African Commission of Football. In fact, the president of the Football Federation of Djibouti, Suleiman Hassan Waberi, is among the members of the Executive Committee of CAF and president of the Commission of African Arbitration. The president of the Federation of Football has reported to the CAF that the elections of the Football Federation of Tanzania took place in a democratic manner and transparency, and that the Tanzanian Federation put in place a democratic process. It should be noted that the president of the Federation of Football, Mr. Suleiman Hassan Waberi, member of the Executive Committee, was the commissioner of CAF during the election of the president of the Federation for Ugandan football. Obituary: we regret to announce the death of Mrs. Gello Shirre Farah that occurred this morning in Djibouti. The deceased, aged 90, leaves behind her a large family including 6 children and 20 small children. The lady Gello Shirre was the maternal grandmother of our Director General Abdul Qadir Ahmed Idris. The whole staff of the RTD shared the pain of the family of the late Gello Shirre Farah, and there is the sincere condolences to all his family, its children, its small children, in particular to the Director General of the Radio Television of Djibouti. We pray the good God to welcome her in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. In this other obituary, we regret to announce as well the death of the late Suleiman Hared Daesh, occurred on Friday, 11 August 1217, to the hospital Saint-Pierre of Brussels in Belgium. Suleiman Hared Daesh has started its journey professional national police, where he performs his service with selflessness and loyalty up to his retirement, and he leaves behind him a widow and 3 boys and 1 girl and 3 small children, which we are colleague and commercial manager Mahmoud Suleiman Hared, as well as the Minister of Communication in charge of Postal and Telecommunication, address its sincere condolences to the family of the deceased. On the news outside our borders, Egypt train drivers and assistants detained after fatal Alexandria crash. An Egyptian prosecutor has ordered the detention of the train drivers and their assistants involved in last week's fatal collision in Alexandria. According to the state news agency MENA, at least 41 people were killed and 133 injured, the health ministry said, when 2 trains collided in the coastal city on Friday, the latest in a string of crashes have inflamed public anger over an integrated transport network. Egyptians have long complained that successive government to impose basic safeguard for railways. A witness said the trains rose into the air, forming a pyramid as they slumped into each other just outside a suburban station in the Mediterranean port city. The prosecutor ordered 2 train drivers and 2 assistants be held for 15 days and released several other railway employees. Blood and urine samples were taken from 1 driver to check for drug use, and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has ordered an inquiry into the crash. In Pakistan, a powerful blast targeting a military vehicle on Saturday night killed at least 15 people and wounded 32 others in southern Pakistan, officials said in an attack claimed by Daesh. The blast occurred at a bus stop in Quetta, the capital of Palestinian province, and the area caught fire soon after the explosion. A statement by the Pakistani military said the explosion targeted an unmanned vehicle and set several other vehicles on fire. Incendiary explosive was used. As a result, nearby vehicles caught fire. 15 people, including 7 civilians, were martyred. And the statement said Provincial Home Minister Sarvat Spokti and government spokesman Anwar confirmed the death toll and put the number of wounded 32. At least 60 children have died over 5 days at a government hospital in northern India that suffered oxygen shortage. The officials said amid fears the toll could rise. Authorities said they have launched an inquiry but denied reports that lack of oxygen had caused the deaths at the Babagalav hospital in Gorakhpur district in Uttar Pradesh state. Indian media said 30 children died on Thursday and yesterday after oxygen supply was distributed in wards housing the sick, allegedly because the suppliers' bills were not paid. Seeing the situation in Gorakhpur, the Lok Sabha constituent Chief Minister Yogi, opposition parties and many other political outlets have slammed the Uttar Pradesh government. Meanwhile, the state government has already ordered a magisterial inquiry into the incident and the report will be out in 24 hours. The UP government has also said that the stringent action will be taken against those found guilty of the high number of deaths of infants. This is it for this edition. Thanks for your beloved attention. Have a good night.